idea was that you'd probably met in Cambridge the day before. Well, I guess you'd be in Edward's rooms or his place, sharing a brandy perhaps, and either acquainting oneself with each other or reacquainting, or whatever the situation is.
Just to clarify, Edward has been invited to this occasion because he knows he's inheriting this property?
Yes, I imagine he's contacted you because he wants you to come with him to check the property out tomorrow. Right. So it makes sense that you've met the night before or the day before, just to touch base, catch up, and then it's tomorrow, off we go on a little jolly to see this estate I've been left.
I mean, I think one of the key elements for that is that Edward, although of an old family, the Bury St Edmunds Caisters and the Geralds, they have fallen slightly on hard times over the years. So my actual status amongst the men of wealth and standing is quite poor, and my friends would be aware of this. So this is effectively a windfall for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also it spells the adventure of going into East Anglia with the opportunity of probably some good walks, some good golf for me. I love the company of a man who can talk about a church tower and its provenance, and I know that man is Reverend Peregrine McCutcheon. Also, he astounds me with his knowledge of botany and the natural world. And who better to accompany us than one who will titillate us and satisfy both of our shared passions for the numinous, that spiritual longing that we have, the ineffable Hypnos, as he once was known. But of course, to us, he's known as Sidney Wagner. So I think I've contacted you both by letter saying, gentlemen, you won't believe this, but my luck has turned. After my time in India and the unfortunate injury to my leg, the Red Letter Day has come. And the Red Letter Day is good news from our lawyer, Sidney. In fact, have you heard from the old man?
Well, I have to admit that we did speak about your windfall, as it was, coming down the track. Because I have been expressing to him that I was looking for potentially more opportunities to perform some psychical research, and these are best conducted in large, what I suppose could be called uninhabited, largely vacant properties. Because I have a hypothesis that this is where ghosts tend to gather, away from the psychical disturbances that human life creates. And so they are driven into these places of memory and forgetfulness. So I think, yes, I spoke to him and he mentioned, I was talking about this very thing, and I wondered, as a specialist in property law, if he knew of anyone. And he said, well, indeed, your good friend Edward Caister is I've recently... So I spoke to him just last week when I stopped by at the offices because I had a private legal matter to attend to. He and I have been working very closely over the last few months, as I, finally mop up some of the last few problems with my ill-fated public career as a mesmerist. But luckily, that's almost all in order now. And he suggested I speak to you about potentially, I don't know how superstitious you are, but what an opportunity to go to this house that has been abandoned, or left to you at least, probably historical, probably haunted, with a man of the cloth, a perfect opportunity to not only draw out the spirits, but then exorcise them completely. It's a win for you, no more ghosties. It's a win for the Reverend. He gets to do something that I don't think Reverends get to do very much, besides baptisms and funerals. And it's a win for me because it gives me a chance to test an hypothesis.
So, Sidney, I've missed you, old chap. I really have.
I know. I know.
Remind me, Pip, do you know Polly Ainsworth? Peter Ainsworth. We call him Polly.
No. No, I don't know him, actually, I'm afraid.
He's a
I'm a
fine
little
fella.
bit concerned about the suggestion that I might be called upon to perform some sort of exorcism. That's certainly not something that I have any experience of, and nor do I think it should be necessary, but I think maybe you're after a Catholic priest for that sort of work. But I'm happy to offer my opinion, more than happy to offer my opinion on the gardens.
I've known a Methodist do it.
You've known a Methodist do it?
I have known a Methodist.
Now,
They
steady
were
now.
pressed.
Are
They
we
were
still
pressed.
talking about exorcisms there?
Yes.
I'm just checking.
Yes. It's going to be my book. I've interviewed him.
We may know all...
Interview you, Peregrine. I'm always interested to get the other take.
forgive me, Peregrine, I called you Pip. Is that... that's from the old school days, really? Is it embarrassing to say that?
A little, but it doesn't really bother me. If you want to call me Pip, that's quite all
You
right.
prefer Perry?
No, I'm sure of that. I wouldn't prefer Perry.
I'm the same. I prefer Sydney. I don't like Sid.
Perry and Sydney it shall be. And I tell you what, let's have a toast to it. I've got a little bit left here of the hock. Why don't you share that amongst you? And, well, here's to our psychical memory investigations and forgetfulness, aided by the hock and the brandy.
Your
Cheers,
very
Tom.
good health.
Yes. They used to call me Wag at prep. Do you remember that?
The Apocalypse Players present A Christmas Inheritance, a Call of Cthulhu 7th edition scenario by Danann McAleer in the style of M.R. James, with Joseph Chance as Edward Caister, Dan Wheeler as Reverend Peregrine McCutcheon, Dominic Allen as Sidney Wagner, and Danann McAleer as the Keeper of Arcane Lore. Part 1, A Partridge and a Dead Tree.
Ah, yes, A Christmas Inheritance. The year is 1891. Having set out from Cambridge early that same morning, the players find themselves traversing the flat, barren fields and iron-grey skies of Norfolk. Their destination is a country mansion and estate somewhere northeast of Little Walsingham, named Orham Hall. None of them were aware of this house's existence until a few days ago. A lawyer named Peter Ainsworth, a friend of two of our players, has visited one of them. Mr. Ainsworth has visited Edward Caister, and he is the executor of the will of one Thomas Caldwell. Caldwell died from old age earlier in the year, leaving no direct next of kin. His last wishes, however, were that the Orham estate should stay in the family. After weeks of painstaking research, it has been discovered that Edward is a distant relative, and therefore the rights to the estate are to be immediately passed over to him. Peregrine and Sydney are accompanying him on his first visit to the estate. They're to be met there by Mr. Ainsworth for a tour of the house and grounds, to finish up the remaining paperwork and to meet the staff. The hall itself, the grounds of the hall, it's 1,387 acres, which is quite the size, and not inconsiderable acquisition. You know where it is, roughly. You know, apparently it's in the Jacobean style, but not much else.
Jacobean style. There might be some interesting roosting spots for house martins if it's Jacobean style. Now you've got me excited.
Yes, well, quite. So,
It sounds it.
the players, after a few too many brandies or a bit too much of the hock, find themselves napping on the train the next day, lulled to sleep by the locomotion, and suddenly in their heads there's a conversation going on near them. They start to tune into. There's a man and a woman, a young man and a woman arguing, and it builds to a sort of fever pitch. They seem to be screaming at each other, and the train whistle suddenly seems to jolt you all awake. And the conversation that you seem to have been hearing in your dreams is, in fact, a sort of mildly annoyed, if anything, sort of conversation between a young couple passing your carriage. The mind exaggerates, but there you are in the train carriage outside the window.
Badgers.
Flat. There you are, badgers.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. I must have dropped off.
Perfectly acceptable. That's what trains are for. Lull you to sleep. Reminds me of Rajasthan.
Oh, yes.
Don't often get the opportunity to travel by train. It's quite something, isn't it?
Oh, it's very different to Rajasthan. We're very lucky to live as we do in the greatest nation on earth. Unfortunately...
Just a few minutes to your station, gentlemen.
Thank you. I hate being interrupted in a story.
You were saying?
Yes, Rajasthan. Unfortunately, I feel like our influence has not yet extended to developing quite the level of train service one expects in East Anglia to the Bangladeshi flats, but we're getting there. And it's not like we're in any rush. I mean, it's not like we'll be leaving anytime soon.
No, that's true, and I suppose there's less concern about the amount of the slow worm population that will be disturbed by laying the tracks there compared to laying them in this part of the world, which cause really quite disruption to the natural habitat of many small animals, but especially the slow worms. I've already got a bad feeling about their future, to be honest. In this country.
You speak to my heart there, sir, because the
train whistle goes off, interrupting.
God.
The train starts to slow and pull into
the elephants. The elephants are very, very precious to me in Bangladesh, and I feel like the railway lines are disrupting their migration pattern. Oh, we're here.
I take out a slightly cheap cigar and I cut it using my pocket knife, which I tend to whittle with whenever I can, and light it on departure.
Lovely. Well, the porter, sort of small, weaselly-looking boy, doesn't look very happy. He's bringing your luggage off the train. I didn't think you'd arrive with much, but there's a huge hat box, of course.
Be careful with those fezzes, boy.
All right, sir.
Irreplaceable. They've been hand stitched by Berbers of Casablanca. Please be careful with the hat box.
Yes,
of
course. He lays all your stuff out on the platform. Will you be needing a carriage onwards, or...?
We will. By the way, you don't caddy ever, do you? You look like you know your way around the links.
Do I?
Caddy, as in carry the bags of gentlemen playing golf.
Oh, I don't know if I'd be allowed to do that now. So.
Or perhaps... Well, that's a shame. I'm looking for a good caddy.
I have my place of work. Oh, whereabouts, sir?
Well, I suppose the nearest course to Little Walsham.
Oh, no, I wouldn't be interested in that, sir. I want to get away from this place. I think that. Anyhow, there's...
Life is elsewhere, eh?
There's all your things.
Thank you. Yes, but a carriage would be marvellous. Thank you.
Lovely. Oh, I'll go and hail you one, sir. He sort of scampers off. It's a small rural trace. I mean, you're in King's Lynn, and you can sort of see beyond the walls. There's
oh, how charming.
The market's in place. People are sort of bustling around. It looks relatively busy, but unless you need anything, I suppose.
While we're waiting for the carriage, I will furk around in one of the hat boxes to fish out my kufi hat. It's a green and yellow striped one.
And I dig around in my small bag and discover I didn't even realise I'd packed them, so I'm going to have to add them to my character sheet if that's all right. But I find my field glasses and I just start sort of scanning the rooftops just to see if there's anything hopping about up there. Wagtails.
I mean,
there
are a couple of wagtails, some sparrows, but nothing out of sorts or particularly interesting.
No, I didn't think there would be, but it's it's force of habit really, apart from anything else.
What time of year is it? Sorry.
So it is the 20th of December.
I say, chaps, if any of you get cold on the noggin, I don't leave anywhere without an abundance of hats. My collection's quite extensive, and though I have plenty of hats with me for hot weather, I do have deerstalker, coonskin cap, a turban even, if it gets a bit nippy.
The porter runs back, interrupting you again, and says, "There's a."
I'm sorry. You took me by surprise, sir.
It's all right, sir. There's no need for alarm. It's just saying your carriage is ready. He's just out there waiting.
Oh, God.
Of course, King's Lynn is likely a Saxon naming. No Romans here, unfortunately. Lynn is an old Anglo-Saxon word for lake, I seem to recall.
I don't know about that, sir. My mother was called Lynn, that's all I know. But I don't think the place was named after her. And,
all the lakes down in my part of the world are called meres, actually.
Oh, right. Where are you from, sir?
Hampshire.
Oh, really? Where's that?
That's down south.
Oh, is it nice?
It's very nice. It's more
Many jobs on the trains down that way?
Oh, I wouldn't know about that. It's more fields and hedgerows than fens and fields and marshland. It's entirely different type of bird life down there, to be honest.
I see. Yeah. Well, thank you, Father.
Again, sadly not a Roman word.
He sort of gets confused and calls Peregrine father, and then realises he made a sort of mistake. And as he's sort of helping you with your bags, a huge sort of ox of a man sort of comes pacing towards you. He says, where are you headed?
Oh, I believe to the Warham Estate. The Little Walsium, or just beyond.
Ah. Oh, yes. Oh, I know it. Yeah, no, that's fine. I tell you what, I can take you as far as Little Walsium. My son can take over from there, if that's all the same to you. It's about... I reckon we can make it in about hour and a half. I'll collect these, and he picks up all of your luggage and...
Be careful with the hat boxes.
The what?
The hat boxes. The capuchon is entirely irreplaceable, as is the gargouche.
Oh, yes. I've always said so myself. And he...
The gargouche was handmade by Yemenite Jews in the Levant.
He sort of gives you a look, not of disdain, but sort of concerned for your mental health, and sort of lugs the bags over to the carriage, and sort of in one fell swoop. And it's a horse-drawn carriage, of course. There's not a motor car in sight. And he sort of, go on, get in then.
Now this takes me back to Rajasthan. Hey, Eddie?
Yes, it does have something of the big country to it, doesn't it? Any good birds there?
I slap Edward's leg and say, watch out for the gorse!
No, I expect we might see some as we get closer to the coast. I expect we might see some snipe, maybe lapwings, but it's the wrong time of year to see anything in any great number, to be honest.
Yes. Oh well. Well, we shall get what we can whilst on the campaign. Very good. Yes. Onwards, dear man. Onwards.
Yes, of course. Just go around here. And he sort of gets the horses going. And he's not afraid to sort of stop and chat to locals along the way. He passes a sort of a baker. He sort of says, "How was them buns doing then, John?" "Oh yes, I know." And he turns back to you. He says, "He had a customer in. This is only 2 days ago now. Is asking how much the farthing cakes was." I says to him, "What did you say to him?" He says, "What do you expect they're worth?" "A farthing," I said. "If they was called a pound cake or a penny cake, but they're not, kick them out." Oh, he's got a good sense of humour, a right good sense of humour. Anyway, on we go. And you turn out of the town. He stops a few times to sort of exchange what he assumes are witticisms with the locals. He seems to be slightly showing off, as if to show, he's a man about the town. You've picked the right guy.
I take it you've lived in these parts all your life.
Oh yeah, King's Lynn, born and bred.
Yes, I recently moved to Blakeney.
Oh, is that right?
You know it?
I've heard of it. I can't say that I've ever...
Different part of the county, of course.
Of course, yes.
Not from these parts, you see. I'm going native slowly, but not yet.
I see, sir. Well,
Biggleswade, I'm from. Heard of it?
Oh, really? You can go native to worse places, sir. I tell you that much. You finally you pull out of the town and you're on a country road, sort of lined with trees.
Oh, we're nearly there yet.
Soon, Peregrine.
Well, we won't be long. About an hour and a half, as I said.
Just left.
You rough night of it was it?
A celebration of sorts.
Who could say that now? It's a bumpy old track, this, isn't it?
Oh yeah, well no, they want to get it leveled out. That's why I keep saying. But the locals, they're not so interested. Not many people leaves the town itself. It's only us carriage drivers that have to take the routes. Us and the farmers. Anyway, that's not interesting. You feel free to get some kip in the back there if you're tired. Don't worry about me.
I take out a short piece of rod that I am attempting to whittle into a golfing tee. And I scrape away at it as I look out of the window.
So you pass along, unless anything happened, unless you want to ask him anything of it.
What was your name, sir?
Oh, Tom.
Tom.
Partridge.
Tom Partridge. I shall be inquiring about every person I meet, their first and family name.
Well, lovely to have the interest. Well, really? What's your last name, sir?
Wagner.
Wagner
is my name.
Ah, where's that from? Herefordshire or somewhere?
I think it's German, but originally.
German? Oh.
Well, let's not hold that against him.
No. I never hold anything against anyone, me. Well, are you staying in Little Walsingham then?
No. Well, as it happens, my name's Keister, and I'm going
Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Pleasure to meet yours, Tom. And I stand to be the inheritor of the old Caldwell house, the Warham estate.
Really?
You know the place then?
Oh, well, yes. Ask most folks around the place. We know of the place. Huh?
I had heard...
Very fine gardens. Is that right? I imagine that's why it strikes up so much interest.
Well, I'm sure you know as much as I do, sir. I know it from beyond the hedgerows, beyond the gates. Well, I can't say as many of us local folks get a chance to look inside, but that's so you're coming here to nest, are you, sir? You're coming here to set down your roots in the area. Well,
I suppose that is the case, isn't it? Yes, it's about time, really.
Well, yes. Well, best of luck to you. I'm sure the folks of Little Walsingham, I mean, they've got their quirks, God bless me, but well, a bit of civilization should do them some good, I'd say.
Is it possible to use my psychology to gauge his reaction when Edward mentions the manor?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Oh my God, stand back, he's rolling dice.
Here we go. I'll use my psychology, narrow my eyes and furrow my brow. Use this modern German science of the mind. 89 on a 60. Before we get to this place.
Here we go.
I think given the fact that I'm engaged in the conversation, I'm probably not using my astute, lawyerly psychology. But would it be possible to gain any kind of insight regarding that brief pause that he made, using my, what would it be? It's kind of like an idea roll, isn't it, I suppose? Or
yeah.
Is that intelligence?
Yeah, we could. Yeah, I'll take intelligence.
Just kind of. Obviously, I understand that it'll be vague, but I had a pause, and I thought, did I see anything in his eyes?
Anything flicker?
It's an excellent success. 0-6.
Okay, so with an excellent success, what you see pass across his face in that sort of interval is it's not shock necessarily. He seems to sort of drift away for a moment. His eyes sort of go completely blank, and gradually more of a look of concern sort of crosses his face. And you can tell by his tone when he starts talking again, although he's reassuring you with his words, he's quite uncertain.
Oh dear.
I mean, this is just one superstitious local. I wouldn't worry.
Absolutely, and one doesn't want to be rude.
No, quite so.
Old habits die hard with these country folk, these bumpkins.
Indeed they do. So unless anyone else wants to...
None taken.
Unless anyone else wants to interrogate him, an hour or hour and a half, I think, because of the people he stopped to talk to as he left King's Lynn, that took about 20 minutes to leave the town. So I think it's been close on 2 hours, and you start to draw into Little Walsingham. You can see the trees sort of falling away either side. There's the odd little thatched cottage, little sheep pens, and you come into the street proper, and it's a very squat little town. You come straight up the road on a slight hill into the marketplace. It seems Sunday market's on, and people are in sort of it's not as busy as King's Lynn. There's a big market cross in the centre and sort of 3 main roads leading off it, but You get the impression you could walk one end of the town to the other in half an hour. Yes.
So what kind of time are we at this stage?
So I think it was about so you're coming up to about 2:15 in the afternoon now. You had a couple of hours on the steam in the morning. I think you probably...
Mr. Partridge, would you recommend a spot for lunch?
Well, if you're looking for lunch, I would say, well, there's a couple of little tea room type places. I don't know what you fancy, but the best place for me, and the landlord's a friend, but I won't be biased, is the Black Lion. You can't miss it. It's just on the main drag there. They'll do you up some lovely hearty food. And the ale's lovely.
Would you care to join us, Mr. Partridge?
Oh, I would love to, but if I don't get back to King's Lynn before dark, the wife will have me guts for garters. I tell you that much. She's been busy prepping all day for Christmas, and
goodness
anyway.
me. Yeah. Well, married life.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Quite. Are you married, sir?
Merry Christmas to you, Mr. Partridge, and
indeed,
and to you. Let me get your luggage. He pulls up outside sort of it's quite a crumpled looking building. It looks very old. It's sort of overlooking the whole town. It's clearly the main sort of point of social interaction. He pulls to a halt, sort of stops the horses and lugs your bags off in one big thing and dumps them by the front door.
Mind that hat box.
Oh, yeah, don't you worry about that. And tell George your friends are mine and to treat you well.
If the turban comes unwrapped, it's a bugger to get wrapped up again properly.
Ah, yes. Well, I think my grandmother said something similar years ago. Anyway.
Oh, man of the world. Good.
Yes. And he sort of doesn't understand what you're saying, but he gets back in the carriage and sort of waves you off. Enjoy.
What a charming character he was.
Pleasant fellow. Oh, when we're supposed to be meeting his son? I say, Tom, Mr. Partridge.
Oh, he sort of pulls to a halt again. Did you forget something?
I don't run, because I rarely am seen running, but I sort of limp fast with my left leg trailing slightly, using my cane. I say, weren't we supposed to be meeting your son to take us on to the estate?
Oh, yes. Well, yeah, he certainly couldn't take you. Let me just have a...
Just send him on to the Black Lion.
Yes, I'll do that, sir. I'll pass him on the way back. I think he was taking someone from King's Lynn. So
what's his name?
I'll tell him to pick you up. His name's Adam, sir. Adam Partridge.
Thank you, Tom. Very kind.
No.
Good day to you.
Pleasure. And he drives on the horses again and carries on. So, are you entering the establishment?
Well, gentlemen, I've never heard a street described as a drag before. It's clearly Norfolk terms. Learning all the time. Is that one?
Well, it is a bit of a drag, he shouts back over it.
Is that one you've heard up in Blakeney Point?
No, I don't. I haven't had much opportunity to socialise with the locals there.
Ah.
I fear I went out very early on in my new tenure in my gargouche, and it attracted a lot of perhaps unwanted attention. I think they perhaps haven't met many Yemenite Jews in Blakeney.
You, Sydney, attract attention. You surprise me. Oh, what wonderful sounds from within. Will it be beer for you both? Just a light ale?
Oh, yeah, something nice and hoppy for me, if possible.
Well, I'm sure that's all they serve here. My good keep.
Ah, hello. What can I do for you, fine gentlemen?
Well, for a woman of your depth of voice, I should order. I should order some hoppy ale.
Marjorie, we've got a cheeky one here. He's coming straight away, calling me. Don't you worry about this, Pinny. I know my way around her. Anyway, what was it? A hoppy ale.
Forgive me, sir. Such a fair face. And such a fine
you know your way to a free meal, I'd say. What happened here?
In truth, Tom Partridge recommended the place. I laced some coin upon the table.
Tell him he owes me 10 shillings next time you see him. But that's fine if your friends are Tom.
I shall tell his son Adam the very same.
Well, why don't you take a bench and I'll. What are you looking for? Food as well?
A luncheon would be much needed.
Excellent. Well, we've something coming out of the oven as we speak, so we'll get that straight over to you, nice and hot, like.
Too kind.
Do you have any gin?
Yes. Oh, we got some gin.
A bottle of gin as well.
A bottle of gin.
Bottle of gin.
A bottle of gin, Mary. That's what they said. A bottle of gin. I'm only messing with you. She died 3 years ago. And he goes and gets the bottle off the wall and passes it to you.
Most obliged. I am, I suppose you would say, a raiser of spirits, I say, lifting the bottle.
He doesn't react at all and just walks off into the kitchen.
My word, psychical researcher, you see.
Is there anything behind the behind the bar, like on the wall? Are there pictures on the wall or anything? Can I do a spot hidden?
What is that picture on the wall?
There are some pictures, but it seems to be the sort of, there's some pictures of the hay being taken in previous years.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, there's a good selection of those.
This appears to be a street in Shanghai. What's this? The Stumbling Tiger.
The Stumbling Tiger, I was about to say.
I know that place.
I've succeeded on my spot hidden. I'm not looking for anything particular, really. I'm just,
So you get a sort of, I guess if you're going through the photos, you get a sort of snapshot history of the place. And, it's people holding up prize marrows and leeks and the odd squash.
What sort of squash is it? Like a winter squash or?
Not a butternut. It's those ones that look like they look like little white pies.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they're called.
Essentially,
yeah, I think. Well, nor do I. But don't worry, Peregrine knows exactly what that's called.
One of them.
I think it's probably called like a dwarf pumpkin squash or something like that.
One thing you do see notice in all the photos is that the ratio of men to women seems off. Like there's lots of men, not that many women. The photos are full of sort of grizzled older men and quite young boys or men who sort of look quite fed up. Like no one's smiling, like in all those old photos.
I take in these photographs and I say, you know what, I think I might move here.
Looking for a glassy-eyed young gentleman. So yeah, I mean, there really isn't a huge amount other than that strikes you at this moment. But the George bustles out of the kitchen with his little pinny on and thrusts down 3 plates of steaming pie in front of you. They're slices, but they're big. The pie must have been the size of his waistband.
This looks fantastic.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. This is
of course.
Just what the doctor ordered.
So was it your wife Marjorie who made these?
Mary?
Oh, yes, it was. I was only joking about her being dead earlier.
I thought Mary was someone else. I'm sorry, I'm confused.
No. Mary's the bar girl. Marjorie's me wife.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
Marjorie does most of the cooking because Mary's a useless bitch. I'm only joking. Sorry for the language.
She's not dead, I see.
No, none of them are dead. It's just my sense of humour. We get travellers moving through here from time to time. And
I'm pretty sure I worked for this guy when I was 18, just after I left school.
I think we all did.
Yeah, I did.
I think I still work for
My goodness, I have to say, the ale is excellent, my good keep.
Oh, well, I'd say I tell the brewers, but we are the brewers, so thank you very much.
It certainly hits the spot. They do, what they say about this part of the country and the beer you brew here, it's absolutely true, isn't it? This is fine.
What do they
stuff.
say about this part of the country and the beer we brew?
That you brew good beer in this part of the country.
Oh, well, in that case, they are right, and so are you. Right, well, enjoy it. It's kidney and ale pie.
Do you distill your own gin?
We don't distill our own gin, but there's stalls.
Comes up from London, does it?
No. There's a couple of stalls about the place. Between you and me.
Right.
Yes, yeah. We keep the old London bottles. You know how it is.
Yes.
You're not gentlemen of the law, I take it.
Only the metaphysical one. Vicar?
Not earthly law.
Actually, literally, I am a lawyer, but don't worry, I'd be in your defence there.
Oh, I see. Well, as long as you're on my side, that's all right, isn't it?
You pay me a penny, I'll defend what you have to say.
Oh, did you hear that, Marjorie? Mary, he said, anyway. He's been having a bit too much of his own stash, I think.
We all need sanity checks.
But enjoy.
Don't worry, in my book, the man upstairs must be on your side if you can turn out a pie like this.
Oh, exactly. That sounded like a sentence, but I didn't quite take it in. Now,
before you go, my dear man,
yes.
I do beg your pardon. If a barrel of this fine ale was to be sent up to the Warham estate, what would that set me back?
Well, is that where you're headed then?
Well, yes, for I am the incumbent there.
You're the what?
My name's Caster. I am to inherit the place. It is
oh my lord,
something of a red letter day.
Marjorie, Mary, they're not there, but that's incredible. You're to inherit the place.
Yes, not that I wish to I'm sure old Mr. Caldwell was much loved in the town.
Well, I don't know anyone around here or any dealings with him.
Well, kept himself to himself, did he?
Oh, very much so, sir. Very much so. I don't even know of many staff he had. But, well, that's great news. A friend of mine, Mary, our new friend, he's taken over the hall up at Warren. Well, I tell you what. Well, they can give you a cask of it to take up with you if you're travelling up.
I'm sure Adam Partridge can place it upon his carriage.
Oh God, old Adam. Oh yeah, well he could carry it up there on his head if he wanted to. The young whippersnapper. But yes, no, I'll get that sent out front for you now.
Yeah, very kind.
He sort of walks off.
May I use my psychology to try and discern what he thinks, what his reaction to the, if there was anything underlying what he said, if his eyes betrayed him in any way. Well, that's much more reasonable. That is a 37 on Excellent. A 60.
So you get the impression. I mean, the others are sort of just focused on being social, and sort of while you sort of have a side view.
Definitely.
And you get the distinct impression that he's very surprised to hear that Edward is the heir. There's a sort of sense of, when he said you're the heir, there was a sense of unbelief, disbelief, confusion, and then as he went on to sort of talk about Mr. Caldwell, it was like he thought he was talking to an idiot. There was that element to it. He was trying to mask it, but well, of course, Mr. Caldwell would not have. None of us knew him. How would any of us know about this? There was that sort of element, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, exactly. Okay, interesting.
Because I'm watching my comrades with my usual sense of perspicacity,
yes,
and indeed downright fascination, for they're both such brilliant and intelligent fellows. When I see the renowned and ineffable Hypnos do the thing where he touches his nose and then rubs his cheek and then brushes his chin, can I do a psychology check to see what I think that he's just been unsettled by something? Oh, and I've rolled a 4.
So
that's excellent success.
In a sense, it's up to the ineffable Hypnos to reveal to you what he thinks about what he's just gleaned.
I think
this is going to turn into a circle where we all just analyse.
I think I just say, my dear chap, you've got that look on your face where I think that I've missed something and you've understood it entirely.
I think that is the case, sir.
And I lean in.
That gentleman, he made an effort to be ebullient about your inheritance. Yet, I detected there was some uneasy surprise within him that you should be the inheritor. I worry that, I don't know, there's something uneasy about the man. He wasn't comfortable with the idea of you inheriting that place. Probably local, what would you call it?
Superstition?
No, politics, local politics. I imagine it's a contentious issue, perhaps.
Well, I'll leave Peregrine to deal with the politicians.
Peregrine's busy. He spotted a glass cabinet on the wall, I think, which has a stuffed fox in it, and he's just having a good look at the fox to see what particular genus it is. But then he sees this conversation going over his shoulder, and I'm going to do a psychology roll to see whether I can glean anything from this interaction.
I love it.
I rolled 100.
I believe it's over to the Provost of King's College, Cambridge.
What happens when you fumble a psychology roll?
They don't even look like people to you. They look like pink balloons on suits.
That's about right for Peregrine.
Peregrine, the sociopathic vicar.
Yeah.
You try to analyse them, and you come away knowing less about humanity than you went in knowing.
If it was possible. Yeah.
I don't think you can fumble a psychology roll, really. Not on this level. If it was like a lie being told or something, perhaps there could be dire consequences. But I think at this level
there wasn't an awful lot at stake, was there?
No.
Maybe you think we're talking about you.
Yeah.
Well, I guess actually, if you rolled 100, there should be something, shouldn't there? So maybe, very good suggestion, Sydney. I think, maybe there is a sudden hint of maybe you've been drifting off looking at this fox and one of them has looked over at you casually, but you get the impression that are they talking about you? Maybe they are. Why would they be doing that behind you?
I know exactly why they'd be doing that. It's just like at school all over again because I was a scholarship boy.
Of course. So
posh bastards.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see who gets on better in this part of the country. I feel a certain affinity with the people out here.
Say as George the barkeep wanders past in a small bikini.
But nobody looks. Nobody actually pays any attention.
An eyelid.
Only you see it. If anything, I think Edward leans back and smiles affably at just the wrong moment to really cement the idea that he would be lying about having leant forward.
Oh, this is horrible.
Pulls out his pipe, starts to pack in some tobacco.
Perceived bullying is almost worse than actual bullying.
Yeah.
So horrible. So I'm assuming you eat your food. It's good hearty fare. It's quite. It's basic, but it's filling.
Needs more kick to it. Needs to really rip the roof off your mouth for me. I need some jalapenos in here, maybe a Scotch bonnet and a... Ooh, I didn't bring my Scotch bonnet. I'll feel very wrong playing golf without it.
Oh, good. You're going to take a few holes, are you?
I beg your pardon, Vicar. Oh, sorry, it wasn't the Vicar.
It wasn't the Vicar, it was me, old chap.
Sorry, yeah.
Depends how long he's here for, I suppose.
Will Peter be joining us? I'd like to take a few holes with Peter, if he's around. I hear he's quite good at golf.
I think Polly will probably pop up, but probably not till next week, if the earliest.
I'm a bit rusty on the links.
Actually, I was expecting to hear from him about some sort of housekeeper scenario. He didn't mention anything to you, did he?
No. He just said I might have a gay old time exploring the history of the place.
Ah, yes, in the country.
Well, maybe we should head over there now. I'm very keen to see the gardens before it gets dark.
Well, this has set us up, certainly. That kidney was
We're getting dark any minute.
It's coming up to 3:30 or so. I think you've spent about an hour having dinner and... so it's still light, but it's very overcast. There's clouds coming in, so it's sort of threatening rain, but at the moment it's still relatively pleasant.
Wonder where that Partridge boy's got to.
Well, you go out front, and he's sort of sat just in his carriage, chatting to a couple of local girls. Seems to be flirting. Same sort of fair hair as his father. He's a lot less built, but he's got strong arms, and he looks a handsome man about town. And as well, if you're leaving to see where he is, he'll sort of clock you. But he's waiting there basically.
I think we are probably. I mean, having dealt with some ablutions, and then there's the formal introductions. Master Partridge, I assume.
Ah, yes.
Good man, cased, etc. And then
quite right.
I'll give him a penny to see him along his way.
Ah, very kind of you, sir. So my dad got you to give me a call, did he? He's sort of putting all your luggage in the back, puts your keg of beer in the back, the local Black Lion Ale, and you're away, and he seems a lot more driven.
Be careful with the hat box.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hat box, is it?
In fact, it looks like it might rain. I don't want to get my kufi wet, so I'm going to swap it for my coon skin.
I see. Well,
also, I'm feeling a bite of the air since we've been in the warm. I think.
I'll tell you what, I'll stop here under this awning. You do whatever you need, and then I'll carry on.
It's just a coonskin cap. You know it?
No, I can't say I do. Oh, I see.
Fun affair. So made from raccoons.
Ah.
North American. Yes. Oh, very, 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 very comfortable.
Fashionable chap, isn't he, lads? Right, well...
Oh, you are a funny one. On the shoulder. You're a charmer.
The girls are sort of following along the side of the carriage, and he sort of goes, go on, oh, gosh, come on, I'll see you later. But he's going at a far better pace. You sort of pull off round the market cross, and you're going up, sort of northeasterly direction, and he's going at a far better lick than his dad was. So you're leaving Little Walsingham, unless there's anything you want to look for or... on the way. You're passing the last few side streets.
Tell me, Adam, is there a golf course near here? Master Partridge, I should say. I beg your pardon.
Do you know, sir, I don't think there is. And I heard... Well, I heard this from my father, who I think heard it from his father. That's how long ago since it was planned. There was meant to be one being built down on the coast nearby, but I don't think it was ever rightly finished. So you're a golfer then, sir?
I certainly am. A keen amateur.
Yeah. Well, the ground's flat enough for it. If you're taking over up at Warham Hall, I dare say you'd have the money to put in some links of your own.
A blazing fire crosses Edward's eyes briefly, almost too fast for the human eye to see. And as we're passing the Catholic church, he says, "Well, good Lord, now there's a thought."
Does one of the others, if you're not conversing, want to do a little spot hidden or something?
Well, actually, I was going to be just sort of looking out the window. I was going to ask, but I might as well look out the window instead to see if I could spot. Maybe I'm really looking out for a local museum that might have some information about the natural history of the region. But I'll do a spot hidden to see whether I see that or anything else of interest, if that's all right. I'm 2 over, but I'm going to spend the luck.
Why not?
Well played.
I got a 67 on a 50, so...
We're in town for one night.
I'm too busy adjusting my coonskin cap. The tail, the raccoon tail, is sort of hit me in the face from the wind, and I'm just like, oh, God. Oh, gosh.
You're right there, Davy Crockett.
As you're sort of faffing with your raccoon's tail and Edward's conversing with Adam, Reverend Peregrine, you're sort of, every time you pass the last couple of little side streets, you're sort of craning your neck slightly just to see if you can see any sign for a local museum or anything of the sort. You don't. It's very sort of uniform in its houses. There doesn't even seem to be another pub. It's mainly just... one thing you do notice with your success is that most of the street corners seem to have a small group of youths, and sort of ranging from 9 to sort of possibly 16, who seem to be loitering with some form of intent, and they sort of stare at the carriage as it passes by. There's something about them that seems... I mean, they're young, so they're not a threat, but there's something about the little gaggles of them that seem... Are they playing a game? Something's up. There's an odd atmosphere to it. I don't know.
Are they all boys?
Yeah. And they don't seem at all perturbed when they catch your eye. They don't look away, even though you're dressed very well.
I'm just going to sort of mention it to Adam. No, I don't want to make a big thing of it, but Adam, there's a lot of young people out on the street. I've noticed. Is this some kind of celebration tonight? Some kind of early Christmas celebration in the town?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, the whole those young'uns, it's just high spirits, really. The whole period's a time for them. I know when their parents are busy, what with the markets and stuff leading up to Christmas time. So I don't pay them any attention. They can be raucous at times, but you've nothing to fear. They're country lads, you know.
Oh no, I'm used to high spirits amongst country lads. Don't worry about that. I'm just surprised to see so many out on the streets. Are they not? They're not still in school?
Oh, they'll be waiting for dark. That's when they play their games.
Oh, their game. What sort of games do they play?
And school's finished. Oh, you know, listen. You asked my father, Tom, who you spent some time with earlier, he'd tell you something completely different. He'd probably tell you they were heathens, they needed a good strap to the bottom, that'd sort them out. But, there isn't much for the young mind in these towns. I can go back to my parents in King's Lynn. There's more down there that can occupy a person. Up here, they get their kicks from scaring folks and throwing things and chasing each other, and I don't know what, but it's all hijinks, and there's nothing sinister behind it.
Oh, no, I understand that, and I'm sure God will forgive them.
Oh, well, sorry, if he's paying attention, I'm sure he will. Yeah.
He says that a very throwaway comment. He doesn't really mean it. It's just the sort of thing that he feels like is expected from someone in his position.
Yeah, Adam sort of starts crosses himself as if he's been taught to do that, but he doesn't really mean it, and sort of says, well, yes, I imagine if he's paying any attention, I imagine he will. It sort of starts the horses going again. So,
I say, Master Partridge.
Oh, yes, what can I do for you?
What do you know of the history of this place we're heading to? Is it, Is it,
In audio, that's just going to sound really weird.
Is it the sort of place where one might buy a fine Portuga, the reserve Portuga? A nice drop of the red.
Portuga.
I think it is Portuga.
Or of Malbec country around here.
I have a hat for that.
Sydney, that's an excellent question.
A gaucho's hat.
I was just thinking, aside from our chapeau, I was just thinking, is this road rather straight? Does it have a Romanic leaning? I wondered, Romano.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Any Roman
yes.
roads?
Romance leading, surely.
I'm not a linguist.
The Romans, they was the straight ones, wasn't they? They yes, I wouldn't be surprised if it was. I have to admit, I grew up in King's Lynn most of my life. A little Walsingham's just where I sort of commute to with the old the carriage. It could well be a Roman road, so I couldn't tell you. I'm sorry.
Well, my question was more to do with the previous incumbents. I don't suppose if you knew them very
Rather nearer history.
Who were they?
I don't know. I was asking.
The Caldwells.
No,
the Caldwells.
In
Oh,
Caldwell.
the Caldwells. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Caldwell.
Yes.
Did you know Thomas Caldwell, for instance?
I did not know Thomas Caldwell.
Perhaps his father spoke to your grandfather.
Well, perhaps, but if
Most likely.
if I know anything about the Caldwells, it's they keep themselves to themselves. Thomas, I gather as a passed on, and God rest his soul. But the last few, since I was a child, I don't even remember having seen him once.
How did he pass on?
Well, I assume old age. There's no.
Oh boy, was he?
Well, I think he was. He's been the owner of the hall ever since I was a young'un, and my father too. So,
Right.
I'd say so.
Oh, would you like a cigar?
Oh, well, whoa.
Here, let me light that for you.
Well, thank you. Whoa, that's a bit of kick on that, isn't it?
Well, yes.
Whoa.
Not as smooth as. Well, yes. Poor Dobbin
And
doesn't like it either, by the looks of it.
As you're sort of leaning forwards and lighting the thing, Peregrine still looking out the window, you catch a glimpse of a face in the hedgerow. It's a sort of gaunt, shining face. It's quite a young face.
I was just looking for robins in the hedgerow.
He's got more than he bargained for.
And he says, "My name's Robin."
In a sense, you have seen a robin. You've caught a glimpse of red, which you initially took to be the breast of a little robin redbreast. It's actually a strand of hair hanging from this head, and it's a quite gaunt face, and he seems to be watching you with quite dead eyes, a balding head, and just strands of long red hair.
Got his Wurzel gummidge.
Horror.
There's a body, of course. It's not a disembodied head, but it sort of startles you slightly, and it's just the face of a sort of man, maybe in his late 20s, sort of following the carriage like that from the hedgerow.
Terrible lean to the neck and the head. Not that I've seen this. Yes.
And
forgive me, I do like a pipe.
yes, and as Ed was lighting Adam's cigar, and he's sort of leaning over, and the horses sort of jolt slightly. You hear a few like young children around the hedgerow sort of shouting, and it sounds like they're shouting, "Go up, you bald head! Go up, you bald head!" And they're shouting, and the face sort of turns and looks shocked and sort of just vanishes very quickly into the hedgerow.
Oh.
And you hear like the children's laughter sort of echoing away and you all hear the sort of the shouts, but only Peregrine saw the head.
Some sort of quaint tradition, is it? I take it?
It's just high spirits, like I said.
Well, I suppose it is the time. Saturnalia, after all, Sydney.
Saturn what?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Saturnalia.
It's a term that we use to describe the...
The horses suddenly rear up, and the carriage stops mid-road, and Adam sort of turns his attention back to the front. Jesus Christ. Sorry, gentlemen, sorry. And he sort of leans out, gets out a bit, and as you look out the front, you can see a tree, a sort of dead tree. There doesn't seem to be any bark on it. It looks long dead, but it's fallen across the road in front of you as you turn this corner. and it's blocking the path. The trunk's about 2 meters through. It's a big tree, and Adam sort of goes out to it and tries to futilely.
You won't be able to do that on your own, old chap. Here, let me see what I can do to help. I take my coat off, revealing my splendid Norfolk jacket.
I'll be honest, so...
Oh, God, sorry.
Oh, no. Carry on, Sydney.
I was just going to ask the vicar. Reverend, what kind of tree is that?
Well, from this distance, it looks like an oak, an English oak. The American oaks you don't really get in this part of the country, but they grow a lot taller. We're lucky it's not an American oak. We'd be stuck here for a lot longer, but even an English oak we'll have trouble with. This one's probably 150 years old, looking by the size of the trunk.
Oh, you're not wrong, Reverend, and it's stood here, killed by lightning when I was a child. It's stood here since. I don't know what's brought it down, but we have been having some bad southerly winds recently.
A nasty gust.
I'll be honest.
It's like a terrible shame, because trees like that are stood so tall and so long dead, they make the absolutely perfect habitat for green woodpeckers.
Is that right? Nesting
right.
ground for the woodpeckers.
Yeah, so that's just very sad.
We should inspect the tree to see if there are any green woodpeckers in distress.
I think that's a good idea. I mean, obviously it's not nesting season, so we don't need to worry too much about.
Right.
But it's worth having a look. It's worth. I mean, this is really.
I find myself wandering back, slightly befuddled by my two old friends and how unable they are to control their obsessions, tics, and desires. And I find myself standing with a man of a totally inappropriate class and attempting to broach the subject of what to do next when I am to be the incumbent of the estate. And now, kind of with an eye on the time, I get my pocket watch out and I think, goodness me, it must be... This is a delay that we can't afford. And I turn to him and I say, what might you advise?
Well, in all honesty, sir, this tree won't be getting moved anytime soon. I don't need to sort of thinks, I can bring you back down. We'll have to pass back through the town, but off on the left, there is a cow track that can bring you up the garden path. We can cut through there. I'm afraid we'll have to go back through the town, but I won't rest the horses. Don't you worry. We'll get you there in good time.
Well, that would be excellent if there is an alternative method.
Right, I think that's our only choice.
Peregrine's got his little pocket knife out and he's cutting away at the bark to carefully see what sort of woodlice there are. There's no bark. It's long dead, so it's sort of just the bark's all stripped away. Yeah,
denuded.
But I mean, if you can, I mean, feel free to do a spot hidden or a.
He's going to just do a spot hidden. He's just looking to see what sort of insect life there is and whether there's any interesting fungus. There might be chicken of the woods on it, maybe, that he might cut a bit off.
Chicken of the woods. Chicken
of the woods. So that's a good pass for my spot hidden.
Well, you don't see anything completely out of the ordinary, but you do start to notice near the branch end of the tree on the left side of the track, there's a sort of like concentric sort of pattern, which seems to be, I don't know, either not carved, but maybe grooved. You start to think, is that a type of grub that has a specific sort of pattern to it? But it looks like something that might have been gouged. It looks like the result of pressure, so you're not sure.
I'm just going to... This isn't something I'm particularly looking for, but I have a very, very small amount of occult. I'm just going to roll against my occult to see whether I observe anything.
Why not?
And I'm way over. Forget it.
So there's nothing occult happening.
Good.
What have you found on the tree there, Perry?
Oh, just some insect activity. It's quite interesting. These patterns, sometimes they're formed by insects. Sometimes it's fungal growth, but I believe this is actually insects. Fungal growth often it can form in rings like this.
What insects?
There's another way round, gentlemen.
Hang on.
Some
this
kind
is fascinating.
What have you found?
Likely to be a...
What have you found?
It's a species of woodlouse. You receive woodlouse. Most people see woodlice, they think there's one woodlouse.
A new species of mouse?
No, there's only 3 species of mice in it. Never mind. Maybe we should get back in the carriage.
You found the secret of the spice.
I'd like to give an occult roll if I can to see if...
Please do, yeah.
Is it arachis?
These symbols mean anything to me, or if they are indeed just the markings of an aforementioned woodlouse.
An African dormouse?
An African woodlice.
That is a hard success. That's a 16 on a 60.
On a cult?
4 away from an extreme success. Is it worth spending the luck?
No.
I've got bags of luck.
Well, you can if you want.
Make up for my lack of intelligence.
I'd say it's not worth spending luck on the occult because you've had a good success, so you'll notice something, but it won't be occult. You realise the symbols aren't anything you recognise. They're not symbols. In fact, it looks like something has been wrapped around the top of the tree, giving pressure. It seems to be like a series of concentric sort of dips.
Like something was attached to it.
Like a chain,
yes.
maybe.
Perhaps a chain. That's a very good potential.
Oh, I hope they didn't lynch people.
No, but maybe something's been used to... I mean, obviously, Peregrine has no fucking idea, but Dan says maybe something's been used to pull the tree down deliberately.
Ah, yes, that makes more sense.
As I say, we think we have another way round.
I think we should maybe just get back in the carriage. I'm so keen to see these gardens before it's completely dark.
Of course. Maybe we'll find new species of woodlouse. Maybe this place is littered with
very good
civilizations.
I think the idea of finding another species of woodlice is a dream beyond my ken.
So you get back in the carriage, and Adam sort of pulls away, and he's going a lot faster now. I think he feels slightly embarrassed, even though it's nothing to do with him, that he's, you're late and you're being driven by him. So you make it back to Little Walsingham in very good time, far quicker than you're going downhill as well. As you come back through the town, you're aware it's about 4:30, so it is starting
Probably
to darken.
dark. Yeah.
There's a really light sort of spray in the air, like almost drizzle, not quite, but you can tell that something's coming. As you go through the town, the only lights seem to be in the Black Lion. But as you're driving through, you just suddenly hear a thud on the side of the carriage, and then a sort of laughing and scampering away, and another thud.
Scared the life of me.
And it seems like they're pelting mud or something. It seems like there's little shadowy groups. You assume the youths from before, cackling and sort of running about. Adam sort of ignores this and just keeps going past the...
That sounds like a very a soil very rich in clay hitting the side of the carriage. Would you say, Adam?
Oh, well, I don't know where they got it, the little scamps. Leave it off now.
How did they manage to keep pace with us so well?
Well, I don't know. I think they stayed in the town. So, anyway, here we are, and you've gone off down. You've gone through the other side of Little Walsingham, and he turns off into a little, unless anyone's stopping him, turns off into a little cow track, essentially. So it's very bumpy going, very muddy, and there's not any lights whatsoever, apart from the little lantern hanging down.
Can I lean into to Reverend Peregrine McCutcheon? But still, I'm leaning into them both. I'm imagining for some reason that I have the backwards facing seat here. I don't know why, and I want to lean into both and say specifically to Perry, what was holding your interest so much at that fallen oak, old chap?
Well, originally I was looking to see if there was any interesting insect life. Old rotten trees can often hold the most fascinating bugs and grubs, huh? But actually, the thing that really took my eye was this straight... bumpy patch there.
Right, bump in the road there.
Yeah, that's right. It was a strange sort of pattern that looked like it had been made by some kind of insect or maybe a fungus, but Sydney suggested that maybe it was something had been wrapped around the tree there. I'm not sure, but probably nothing really of any interest.
It hadn't crossed my mind until the carriage started getting pelted by the young boys. Perhaps we've missed something here. Maybe my presence isn't quite as welcome as I thought it might be. I mean, it is, after all, the 19th century. Goodness gracious! I mean, I thought all those old sort of stories of, the new landlord coming in wouldn't be a problem. But it turns out that I couldn't have two better fellows with me. Maybe that was an unconscious realization of mine. I don't know.
It's probably a little bit like being the new boy at school. It's just something you have to get through.
This is possible. Certainly, I did detect something akin to enmity from the landlord of the black... bull?
You don't think it's possible that they pulled it down deliberately?
Lion.
The black lion, yes.
I can't deny that it has crossed my mind that they have pulled it down. If they had pulled it down, say, for...
I very suddenly start banging on the roof. I say, my man, could you stop here? Just one moment.
Sorry, pulls to a halt.
Did you what is it, Edward? Do you want to have a look at those beautiful yew trees there on the right?
Well, now listen here, gentlemen. In my experience, the only reason one forces a person to take one road is because one has an ambush plan.
Well, you see, this is what I was about to say before you interrupted me, was that...
I roll my eyes and sigh heavily.
Perhaps the...
Can I help with anything, sirs?
Just one,
we're
just
all right.
one moment.
A minute. I'm just changing out my hat. There's a possibility that if they knew it was being pulled, if they'd pulled it down for horticultural reasons, then our driver there, he would know about it, I would think. Because I think there would have been a consultation with the local community to pull something down like that for horticulture.
Well, I can tell you for absolute certain, you would not pull a tree of that age down at this time of year for horticultural reasons.
Right. And he gave a very wet excuse, in my opinion, for why it might have fallen down. A tree doesn't just drop down because of a gust.
Well, I think we must confront matters at once. And I couldn't agree with you more.
I think we have a reason. I would put it down to local, small-minded locals have opted to... you've come into town. They assume you've got a bit of cash. You're a bit green because you don't know the land. You don't know the lay of the land or the people. And so they want to take advantage of us somehow. I wouldn't surprise me. I've been in this sort of situation before. I was screwed over once when I played Plymouth. The manager of the Theatre Royal there.
No. Oh, no, that's a public house. Forgive me.
Yeah.
The Theatre Royal.
The Royal, of course, the Royal.
The Theatre Royal.
Down on the Hoe.
That's right. The landlord, the manager seemed to think because I've never played Plymouth before that I was some sort of rube, and he thought he could get away with paying me half the accommodation fees, but I had stern words with him. And you've just got to be tough with these people. You've got to make them know who's the hypnotist here, who's the landlord, who's the boss here.
As you're speaking, you suddenly hear Adam out front shout, "Leaf! Leaf! Get on home!"
He's mental.
Get on home now, Leaf, wherever it may be. And you lot, stop that. Sorry, sirs, do you want to carry on yet?
Adam, is the road clear as far as you can tell?
Oh, yes. No, just, it's just Leaf. Don't worry about him.
What do you mean, Leaf?
Who's Leaf?
Why don't I come out there with you, old chap? Is there room for two?
Oh, well, yeah, by all means, come and ride up here if you like.
Just before Caister leaves the carriage, I grab him by the arm and go, I could put him under my spell and find the truth.
I grab him by the other arm and say, for God's sake, don't leave me alone with Wagner.
So, Edward, as you climb out, you see a sort of scared, slightly blank but scared-looking face. It's a lean face with a bald head and sort of strands of red hair from the lantern light. It's the same face Peregrine saw earlier, and you as you lock eyes with it, it sort of dashes away again into the bushes, and you hear the same sort of cry of the children saying, "Go up, you bald head! Go up, you bald head!"
I don't like this.
I say, Partridge, you don't think these children pulled that tree down, do you?
What? Are you asking me?
I think that's exactly what I'm doing.
I couldn't say for sure, so they get up to a lot around here, but I'd say vandalism on that scale is something we've yet to see, thank the Lord.
And yet they know...
I don't know what I'd put past them.
They'd know that we would take this path, then. That might give them a chance to cut across country and be here.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much about them, sir. It's just the excitement of seeing new faces in the village, I imagine. They've probably been following after us the whole time, cutting across the fields and such. And Leaf, him, I don't know if you spotted him there. He's the last one you need to worry about. Shall I set the horses on again, sir?
Indeed, just one moment. I just need to double-check that I've got... I noticed that we had a few bumps back there on the road, and so I didn't tie my clubs in properly. I'll take out the I'll take out the 9-iron. Oh, this one's loose. What a shame. And I'll just tighten up the bag, and then I'll climb back into the carriage. Carry on. Thank you, Partridge.
Of course, sir.
And I'll get back in, clutching my 9-iron.
He sets off again, and you don't hear any more from the children. No more cries. You don't see Leaf again. But gradually the woods open out, and it's getting very dark now. It's approaching 5, so it's almost fully blackout. But along the side you start to see little sheds and little sort of gardened off areas, and suddenly on the left-hand side of the carriage, you feel the carriage is going over gravel suddenly, and you pass through these iron-wrought gates, and a huge sort of vista opens out on your left. The side of the house, Warham Hall, and again it seems very grey and very oppressive, but the drizzle's starting to blow in, so it's hard to tell whether that's the damp stone or what it is. But as you continue on, you notice Adam seems to be looking around with the same sort of curiosity as you, almost suggesting he hasn't seen the place before either. On the right, suddenly there's a long straight line of hedgerows, immaculately sort of trimmed like an oblong, the children's word for a rectangle, and sort of holly bushes. And suddenly the drive sweeps round as it reaches the climb of the hill, and you finally, on the right, you see a huge lawn spreading away and going slightly up into the distance, and trees on the sideline. There's a bit of a glow over to the right, but your attention is drawn to the front of the house, this sort of pillared, statuesque building, and Adam pulls up in front.
This was an Apocalypse Players production. For more information about the podcast, go to apocalypseplayers.com. Thanks for listening.